So for those of you wondering, yes, I am alive. Well, kind of. But anyway, welcome back. I know it's been quite a while since I did anything on this channel. Quite. I'm just in the middle of, getting my shit together. But I've always been more of a quality over quantity kind of person. And I haven't really been happy with what I was putting out recently, so I decided to take a step back. I'm still in the process of that right now, but I got inspired to make this video by a post I saw on Reddit. This user was struggling with Diablos and wanted to look for tips on taking it down, so I thought, why not make a video about it? So I plan on sharing how I go about handling monsters that I struggle against myself, and in doing that, I really hope that this helps some of you out as well. I also will be using multiple weapons, but feel free to use any weapon of your choice while following along. I think you guys should already have expected this, but please be prepared for some spoilers. As much as I try to avoid giving them, some things just can't be helped and they just kinda slip out. So if you're conscious of that, you have been warned. Now since this video is also targeted at newer hunters out there, I will be fighting against everyone's most recommended training dummy, Diablos, in low rank, using nothing but low rank weapons. No armor, no skills, no specialized tools, no charms, nothing. I'm excited to share this with you, so without further ado, let's get started. Part 1 is going to be all about observation, and to do that, I personally use the charge blade. Like I said before, this is just my weapon of choice, but I would recommend using a shielded weapon so that you can follow along better. So it could be like your lance and gun lance, or even a sword and shield if you want. My goal at this stage is to play super defensively and passively, watch the monster, and learn its AI. Your main focus here is observation, not quest completion. So use as much of the 15 minutes as you can. Don't be afraid of cutting and failing the quest. So what you want to do is put up your shield whenever you think an attack is coming. Don't worry if you get it wrong, just put it up. Because if you're right, you'll be able to block the attack, but even if you aren't, you'll still be safe anyway. Remember, information gathering is the key here, because there are so many things that you can learn just by watching. What attack each animation leads to, the rough timing of each attack, where the hitbox is, how far each attack can reach, so on and so on. And thankfully, pretty much all of Diablos' attacks are very telegraphed and obvious, so there shouldn't be much of a problem of being caught off guard, unless you lose sight of him. Part 2 is where you start going a little bit more on the offensive, because in this stage, it's about exploiting openings and getting the timing down. For part 2, I personally go with the weapon that probably receives the most amount of hate, which is the longsword, and we will be abusing one of the moves that gets it so much hate. So for those of you that have never used the longsword before, there is this move called the Foresight Slash. This move gives a ridiculous amount of iframes, but I think that just makes the transition of going from being defensive to being offensive that much smoother. Basically, after pretty much any attack you perform, you can press Ctrl and right click to initiate Foresight Slash. I am so sorry to all of you who play on the controller, but I have no idea what your inputs are. Do note that this move cannot be used on its own, and it must be chained after an attack. And the iframes of this move are only given when you have some part of your spirit gauge filled up, which you do by landing any hit. Yeah, you'll still be playing passively, don't get me wrong, but you will be forced to get closer to land some hits, and also this time, you no longer have a shield to protect yourself with, and you know how hard Diablos hits, so you're playing with higher stakes. Like I said, you're learning to exploit openings and timings of the attacks. Now for those of you who are Charge Blade mains and absolutely refuse to become a degenerate by going down the path of the Weep Stick, rejoice! Because you can achieve the same thing with your weapon as well. Now at this point in the game, I'm going to assume that you already know how to charge your shield, and if you don't, please go watch some weapon tutorials. It will really help. So as a substitute to Foresight Slash, we are instead going to be abusing the guard point mechanic of the Charge Blade. To do this, press Ctrl and left click to morph from sword mode to axe mode. You'll notice that at the very beginning of the morphing animation, there will be this part where your shield is held up in front of you before your weapon fully transforms. That is the point where you want to time with the monster's attacks. Because do it too early and the shield will already be out of the way, but do it too late, there won't be a shield to guard with. Again, timing is the key here. When you successfully guard point with a charged shield, there will be sparks coming out of it, so use that sign to gauge whether or not you were successful. So if you followed through with those advice I gave, you should now have at least a decently good idea of how the monster behaves and the timing of their attacks and all that. So for the final part, it is simply putting every bit of information together and go complete the quest with your main weapon. I believe that you can do this and that you'll crush the quest, so this is where I'll end the video. I wish you hunters all the best, stay safe, have fun, and as always, happy hunting hunters.